Well, hello, this is Deborah Johnson, and we're approaching a topic today that may not seem like it's a lot of fun, but really it is. Routine versus chaos and how structure sets you free. Well, we live in a world full of constant noise and shifting priorities, and it's easy to feel like life's just spinning out of control. But what's the solution? A solid routine is the solution. And it's far from being boring or restrictive. Routine, it lays the groundwork for creativity, clarity, and peace of mind. And in this episode, we're going to explore how simple habits like journaling, reflection, and exercise, and planning all of your diet and exercise, it can create the structure that sets you free. And it's far from boring. So stay tuned. This podcast is brought to you by DJ Works Media and HalftimeSuccess.com, offering resources and insights for those at mid-career or the halftime of life. Explore our diverse categories, including courses, coaching, health, music, software, and travel. We're here to help you make this stage of life your best ever. So get our new articles, downloads, and podcasts by signing up for weekly updates at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Now, let's dive into today's episode. In a world filled with constant distractions, unexpected changes, and an ever-growing list of responsibilities, well, it can feel that it really is spiraling out of control. Well, so what's the antidote? Routine. While some may equate routine with rigidity or boring, but the truth is, a well-structured routine doesn't confine you. It frees you up, and it creates a strong foundation that enables creativity, it reduces decision fatigue, and it enhances overall well-being. Now, my father was a wonderful example of routine for me, and unfortunately, I really didn't totally realize how much of a good routine drove his life until he was at the very end of his life. But apparently, I had picked up a lot of the principles that he modeled. And here in this podcast, we explore how routine can be a powerful force for personal freedom. And we'll examine the power of structure through journaling, time for reflection, exercise, and planning a healthy diet. I hope this inspires you today. And together, these elements, they form the pillars of a lifestyle that supports both personal and professional fulfillment. So let me give you this example from my dad, of his example and his driving force. When we found out that my dad was ill with 2 types of cancer, my sisters and I knew we needed to start providing care for him. And within those last weeks of his life, I was caring for him one evening when he was getting ready for bed. And by then he was using a walker, and he proceeded to brush his teeth, use mouthwash, and then he picked up his comb to use on his hair. Now understand that he didn't have a lot of hair, but he wet down the comb and he started using it on the sides and the back of his head. And I said, "Daddy, why are you combing your hair? You're going to bed." And he looked at me and he said calmly, "Routine." Well, then I understood how he even had lasted as long as he did, possibly fighting the illness that he had in his body for years, totally undetected. He never wavered from that good routine. So here, let's dispel this myth of chaos as freedom. Some individuals romanticize the idea that living without boundaries and spontaneity, flexibility, going with the flow just sounds so liberating, especially for creatives and entrepreneurs. But a life devoid of structure, it often leads to stressed, missed opportunities and diminished mental clarity. And without routine, the mind is bombarded with all of these choices for the moment. And you wake up, what should I do? Should I work out today? What task do I start with? And pretty soon we're just going down rabbit holes. And this mental noise or the decision fatigue, it reduces our ability to focus on what really truly matters. Spinning our wheels in indecision and unproductiveness, it takes a great amount of energy that can and it should be directed with productivity. And by contrast, establishing a regular routine, it automates many of those decisions, creating more room for deeper thought, focused creativity, and intentional living. And wow, that's what I worked for in my life. I worked toward that. So I'm going to talk about journaling, anchoring your thoughts. One of the most accessible tools for creating structure is journaling, believe it or not. And this has been a daily habit of mine for years. And I still remember when I was in middle school, I had a diary. Some of you might have had a diary. Well, it's really a small journal. You know what I wrote down every day? Those deep thoughts with what I was wearing that day. It's funny to think about that now, but this little diary I had in junior high, it just created a habit. And today, well, I start my days pretty early and I read a short passage of biblical scripture. Then I write a few lines in my journal. It helps me focus my thoughts as well as I spend a few moments with gratefulness as I look forward to my day ahead. Now, whether this is in the morning or an evening reflection, journaling, it serves as a personal check-in. It organizes the mind and emotions, and it creates a safe space to process what you're feeling and how you can recognize patterns and even your intentions. So here's some daily journaling, what it allows you to do. It allows you to reflect on your challenges and wins. It allows you to clarify your goals, acknowledge your emotions without judgment, and to practice gratitude, which increases your emotional resilience. And a simple 5-minute journaling habit every day, it can help keep that chaos at bay. And for those new to the practice, I'll start by just writing down 3 things that you're grateful for and what you want to accomplish and any lingering thoughts or worries. And it's freeing to just leave those thoughts and worries on a piece of paper in a journal. Believe me, it is totally freeing to do that. So, time for reflection. Here's another part of my routine: stillness as a superpower. Reflection goes hand in hand with journaling, but it extends beyond pen and paper in our fast-paced society. And stillness is often undervalued, but yet taking time every single day, just even like 10 minutes, to be still, to breathe deeply, to think intentionally, it can radically impact your clarity and confidence. Now, my reflection, as I've shared, includes a biblical passage. My go to in the months that I'm in between some sort of study or if I'm looking for refreshment is to read one proverb in the Old Testament every single day. There are 31 chapters, 31 proverbs, and they provide a good guide for a month's devotion. And after reading, well, you'll have a good, positive, and wise thought to even write in your journal. So here are some other ways to incorporate reflection: a brief morning meditation or prayer, evening walks without headphones or distractions. Oh, that's tough sometimes for those of us that like to listen so much to podcasts and books, and also setting aside weekly just thinking time to review progress and your to course correct. And one I love is to get outside and work in my garden and in our orchard of trees. I love that. Reflection allows you to step back and evaluate rather than just react. It gives your mind a break. And this space, it creates freedom by aligning your actions with your long-term values and your vision. So very important. Okay, we're going to move on to exercise, moving into mental clarity. Now, exercise is often approached solely as a tool for physical health, but the benefits extend far beyond the body. Movement is a medicine for the mind, and a consistent exercise routine, it fosters mental clarity and it boosts your mood through endorphin release, and it reduces anxiety. It's so healthy for us. Now, the key to incorporating exercise into your routine is to remove the friction. Set a specific time and lay out your workout clothes I lay out my clothes the night before, so there's no excuse. And then you choose activities you enjoy, not just those you should think you do. You need to do. So exercise ideas to fill your lifestyle preferences. It could be a 30-minute morning walk to set the tone of the day. If you have a dog, this is perfect. Lunchtime yoga or Pilates to help reset focus. Strength training 3 times a week to build physical and mental resilience. I'm trying to add a little more strength training in my routine. And a stationary bike or treadmill. Well, that's easy to access if you have one of these at home. And even short bursts of movement throughout the day, like stretching or a 10-minute, maybe a dance break, contributes to a structured rhythm that it'll just lift your energy and reduces the chaos of mental clutter, which can take over our minds. So let's move on to planning a healthy diet and fueling your focus. Now, this is important. Don't discount this. Food is fuel, and what you eat directly affects your mood. I know this. It affects your mood, your focus, and your energy. And I reminded myself of this often, as it's so easy for me to grab a bit of chocolate in the afternoon. I love it. But chaos in your eating habits, it often mirrors the chaos in your life. And if you skip meals or you do last minute takeout or sugary snacks, it might feel convenient, but it often leads to those crashes and crashes of energy and productivity. Now, I have some free goal setting sheets that include like nutritional timing. Make sure you get those. I put that in the article that goes with this. And the solution is not just a rigid diet, but flexibility meal plan with grounded and smart choices. So here's how to build structure around maybe your food meal preparation. Set aside time once or twice a week to prepare your meals and snacks, and plan your shopping list ahead. And I like a lot of salads, so I make sure I have all those fixings handy. And simplify your choices. It doesn't need to be elaborate. Some of you like to cook, but I'm not in that camp. So create a go-to list of healthy meals that you enjoy and that are handy. So mindful eating, sit down to eat with, not multitasking. And I'm definitely guilty of this because when my husband's not at home, I eat everywhere. So it's a good reminder. And make sure your hydration routine steps up. Keep a water bottle handy, or I've added electrolytes as it seemed to help my energy level even. So when you nourish your body intentionally, you create a foundation of health then that supports clear thinking, emotional stability, and greater output. The paradox of routine. Flexibility within structure. Now, structure doesn't mean every moment of your day must be micromanaged. And in fact, the best routines, they allow for adaptability. And you might journal for 5 minutes one day, and then you have more to say. You're going to spend 20 minutes the next. And you might shift your workout from morning to evening based on your schedule. Some of you travel. I travel. It's going to be different. The goal is not perfection, but consistency. And by anchoring your day with a few non-negotiable routines, you provide your brain and your body with those signals of stability. You'll feel better. And this makes it easier to handle those unexpected times because your foundation is solid. Creating your personal routine framework. If you're ready to move from chaos to structure, well, let's start with these just simple little steps. 1, audit your current habits. Identify where you feel the most overwhelmed or disorganized. Put those down on paper. 2, start small. Choose one area first, maybe journaling, exercise, diet, or reflection. Just one to improve. Start very, very small. And 3, establish anchors and build routines around natural transitions, such as your morning wake up, meal times, bedtime. The book, Tiny Habits, it's a great book to read on this principle. Also, there's others, Atomic Habits, which is very popular. Read something that will inspire you, and then adjust weekly. Use those little weekly reviews to refine your schedule and then celebrate your progress. Now, here's what my personal routine is when I'm in town. It includes a morning devotion, a brief journal entry that focused on gratefulness or reflection of what I've just read, And then a quick check and posting online. I check my computer, and then I exercise. It includes my stationary bike and walking our little dog, Amelia. And then I get to enjoy a morning cappuccino with my husband where we catch up on news and we pray together. And only after this do I shower and fully get ready for my workday. Getting up early allows me to accomplish all of this before embarking on other daily activities. Now, you don't have to get up as early as I do to establish some sort of good routine. Find out what works for you and put a system together that you can write down. Now, I talk a lot about systems in my new book, Power of After, and routine fits right in with defining your ideal lifestyle. And with a solid routine, it's possible to feel good, to be productive, and really to enjoy every moment, which I want you to do. So some final thoughts, besides making sure you get my book, for intentional living. The idea that routine limits your freedom, well, that's a myth. In reality, routine creates the space and structure needed to pursue your goals, explore creativity, and then live intentionally. And my father was a wonderful example of this. And when you know what your day holds, you reduce the stress and you create room for what really matters. I've been a creative for years. Journaling brings clarity, reflection, fuels purpose, and exercise builds energy. And of course, a healthy diet sustains focus. Those simple, structured practices, they are your keys to a more powerful and purpose-driven life. And in the end, it's not about controlling every moment. It's about designing your life in a way that will support your freedom and not stifle it. So choose a solid structure that works for you and really set yourself free. And if you need to remind yourself of all of this, click in on the article that comes with this podcast. That's with the show notes. And this will outline all of those things for you right there so you can apply them. And I give you some extra resources on that as well. Make sure that you're getting my book, Power of After. It is a powerful, powerful book. I talk about AI. I talk about your lifestyle, your desired lifestyle, your work in our new age of doing business, and also automation. There are some tools that I share, plus a wonderful free download that comes with the book. So make sure you get that. Make sure you're getting all of our newsletter updates, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. And then you won't miss a single podcast. I do a lot of wonderful interviews, of course, monthly. And then I'm on once a month with my husband, which is delightful. You don't want to miss those as well. So thanks so much for joining me in this podcast, helping you move ahead, maximizing your skills, your resources, and your experience at mid-career, halftime of life. So much fun. These are great, great years. Don't waste them. Enjoy them. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll look forward to being with you again next time. So bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.